Imagine dedicating like your entire life to preparing for a World Cup.
Right. The absolute pinnacle.
Exactly. You finally make it, but your government is embroiled in a war with the host nation.
Yeah.
Your training camp is exiled to Mexico because of visa disputes. And, well, when you finally walk onto the pitch in Los Angeles, a massive section of your own fans is actively booing you.
It's an incredibly intense scenario.
It really is. And that was the reality for the Iranian national team in 2026. So, welcome to another deep dive. Today, we are taking our stack of sources and, honestly, we're just tearing up the final score of a single, highly dramatic event.
Yeah, that Belgium versus Iran clash.
Right. We're going to peel back the layers. We're looking at the brutal tactical reality on the pitch, the intense geopolitical collisions surrounding the stadium, the billion-dollar broadcasting war trying to manipulate your perception of the game, and a quiet revolution happening behind the cameras that is fundamentally rewiring who gets to show you these events.
Because, to truly understand a modern sports mega event, you really have to look past the green grass.
Oh, absolutely.
The 90 minutes of gameplay is just, it's the final output of a massive, multifaceted machine. Tactics, international diplomacy, media algorithms, broadcast engineering, they all just crash together in real time.
Yeah.
So if you only look at the final score, you are missing the actual story.
Totally. So let's test that theory by starting right on the grass at Los Angeles Stadium. Group G, Belgium versus Iran. The final score is a highly unexpected 0-0 draw.
Which, casual fans hated.
Right. The immediate reaction from casual fans was to dismiss it as a boring stalemate. But looking through the match reports in our sources, it sounds less like a boring game and more like watching a master safecracker being Belgium fail to pick a rusted ancient lock.
Yeah, I like that.
And they eventually just break their own tools in frustration while the lock completely holds firm.
That's a great way to put it. And the statistics certainly support that safecracker analogy. Belgium, the Red Devils, they held over 70% of the possession and took 23 shots.
23 shots.
Right. But they couldn't convert that sheer dominance into a single goal. They were incredibly wasteful, and part of that was structural.
Yeah, they were missing some key guys.
Exactly. They were missing Jeremy Doku, who actually left the camp for the birth of his child.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which removed a critical layer of explosive pace on the wings for them. But honestly, the structural issues pale in comparison to what was happening with their superstar striker, Romelu Lukaku.
Right. He's having a really tough time.
He came into the tournament severely lacking match fitness. He'd only played 64 minutes for Napoli the entire season due to injuries.
64 minutes for the whole year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just over an hour of actual game time. But more significantly, he was actively grieving the recent loss of his father.
Wait, I want to pause on that for a second.
Yeah.
Because, we see athletes compartmentalize grief all the time, right? Like, look at Michael Jordan playing a spectacular final series after his father's tragic death. So why did Lukaku's situation manifest so destructively? He ended up receiving Belgium's earliest ever World Cup yellow card just 2 minutes and 43 seconds into the match.
Yeah, it's a fascinating contrast. It really comes down to the physiological reality of cognitive overload versus the mythical flow state.
Okay, break that down for me.
Well, when an athlete is in flow, their reaction times are optimized to the millisecond. They aren't thinking, they're just doing. But when your cognitive load is maxed out by acute grief, and then you compound that with the physical rust of only playing 64 minutes all year, your central nervous system just isn't firing as efficiently.
Oh, wow. So his brain literally couldn't keep up.
Exactly. Your processing speed drops. That is how a world-class striker ends up lunging clumsily at a goalkeeper less than 3 minutes into a game. The body simply cannot execute the mind's intent fast enough.
That makes so much sense.
And that frustration just compounded, right? He's now on an 8-game World Cup goal drought.
Man. So while Belgium's tools were basically breaking down, we have to look at the lock itself. Iran, Team Melli, they didn't just survive. They engineered a wall.
They really did.
They fielded the oldest starting 11 at a World Cup since at least 1966. The average age was over 32.
Right. And what they lacked in youthful recovery speed, they absolutely made up for in sheer stubborn spatial awareness. Their veteran goalkeeper, Alireza Berenvand, put on an absolute masterclass.
Oh, he was incredible.
He took home player of the match honors with 7 spectacular saves.
Including that crazy double save.
Yes. The brilliant double save against Belgium's Maxim de Kuiper from point-blank range. I mean, Baron van fell just one save shy of Iran's all-time national record for a single World Cup match.
That's wild. And they weren't just passively absorbing pressure either. Iran had a moment where they actually picked the safecracker's pocket.
Oh, the Chermi goal.
Yeah. Mehdi Taremi scored off this highly complex free kick routine, but the goal was wiped out. And here is where modern technology directly injects anxiety into the game.
Absolutely.
It was ruled out by VAR, the remote video assistant referees, who analyzed the geometry of the pitch in real time. They spotted offside positioning and encroachment.
And, taking a goal off the board, that acts as a psychological accelerant for the opposing team's anxiety.
Belgium suddenly realized they were actually vulnerable.
Exactly. And that anxiety finally boiled over into outright disaster in the 66th minute.
The red card.
Right. Nathan Ngoy miscontrolled a loose back pass, Taremi pounced on it, and Ngoy was forced to drag him down as the last defender.
Which is an automatic straight red card.
Yep. So Belgium had to play the final half hour down to 10 men.
Which completely explains the brutal reviews the match got. I mean, Zlatan Ibrahimovic joked to the press that he nearly fell asleep in the first half and actually did fall asleep in the second.
Typical Zlatan.
Right. But Zlatan's joke kind of misses the larger context here. Iran's circling of the wagons mentality on the pitch wasn't just a defensive soccer tactic.
No, not at all.
We have to look at the intensely heavy geopolitical atmosphere surrounding Los Angeles Stadium to understand why that team played like their lives literally depended on a clean sheet.
Yeah, the context there is incredibly heavy.
And real quick, before we dive into this part, we need to give a strict neutrality warning to you, the listener. The sources we are about to discuss contain highly charged political content regarding the U.S. and Iran.
Yes, and we want to make it abundantly clear that we are taking absolutely no sides here.
None at all. We are merely impartially reporting the facts and claims presented in the source material we have.
Exactly. Just looking at how it impacted the tournament.
Right. So the match was played right in the middle of an ongoing war involving the co-host nation, the U.S. and Iran, alongside Israel.
Yeah.
U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance mentioned publicly that talks were happening in Switzerland to turn over a new leaf and find an interim deal to end the conflict.
But, diplomatic talks in Europe do not instantly solve on-the-ground logistics in California.
No, they definitely do not.
Yeah.
Let's look at the reports from our sources, because we have two radically conflicting narratives here regarding those logistics.
Yeah.
The U.S. Homeland Security claims one thing, while the Iranian Federation vehemently claims another.
Right.
And again, our goal today isn't to play international judge or validate either side's politics. We just want to examine how this intense diplomatic collision inevitably crashed right into the tournament.
So what actually happened to Iran's preparation?
Well, their preparation was completely upended. Iran had to move their entire World Cup base camp out of the U.S. and set it up in Mexico.
Wow.
Yeah. And this stemmed from a massive dispute over travel visas. Mark Wayne Mullen from U.S. Homeland Security stated that the U.S. actively blocked certain Iranian travelers from entering the country.
On what grounds?
He cited that these individuals had direct ties to the IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, which is a major branch of the Iranian armed forces.
Okay.
According to Mullen, the U.S. only accepted 53 people from the Iranian delegation.
That seems really low for a World Cup. It is. It's a fraction of the 120 or so personnel a national team typically travels with for a massive tournament like this.
Yeah, and the Iranian Football Federation pushed back against that narrative furiously. I mean, they released a public statement calling the Homeland Security claim an outright and undeniable lie, saying it was totally unsupported by any evidence.
They did not hold back.
No. They accused the U.S. government of placing unreasonable restrictions on their delegation purely to cover up discriminatory behavior. And, that administrative friction immediately spilled into the stands in Los Angeles.
Oh, the stadium atmosphere was wild.
The Iranian fan base was entirely fractured. You had fans showing up just to support the 11 guys in the jerseys, but you also had massive sections of the crowd actively protesting the Iranian government itself.
Yeah, the stadium essentially became a proxy battleground. I mean, fans were flying the pre-revolutionary lion and sun flag, and large sections of the crowd loudly booed the Iranian national anthem before the kickoff.
Which brings up a major question about sports psychology, right? A lot of pundits claim the 90 minutes of a match serve as a temporary escape hatch from reality, that players just tune out the noise once the whistle blows.
Right, that old cliche.
Yeah. But does the presence of such immense real-world geopolitical weight inevitably force its way into the athlete's physiology?
Honestly, the estate patch theory is largely a myth at this scale of pressure.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, when your training camp is displaced across a border, when your federation is in a public daily fight with the host nation's security apparatus, and when your own fans are booing the anthem you are required to stand for, your baseline cortisol levels are constantly elevated.
A stress hormone.
Exactly. That cognitive load is immense. It drains physical energy before the match even begins. So it's highly probable that Iran's incredibly defensive, resilient performance relying on that older veteran lineup was a physiological and psychological survival mechanism in response to external chaos, rather than just a whiteboard tactic.
Wow. So when the world outside the stadium is chaotic, you fall back on structure and defense inside it.
Precisely.
But here's the catch. A viewer sitting on their couch in London or Manchester doesn't inherently feel that geopolitical trauma. They only know what the TV broadcast tells them to feel.
That is so true.
Which brings us to the massive power wielded by the networks and the absolute broadcasting war happening in the UK for this 2026 tournament.
Broadcasters are essentially the ultimate filter for reality. For a match featuring this much-layered complexity, the network isn't just delivering a video feed, they are actively curating the viewer's emotional experience.
It's like, okay, think of it like reading a history book where a previous owner has pre-highlighted specific sentences in neon yellow.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Right, you think you're absorbing the whole page, but your eyes are being forced to only remember what the highlighter wanted you to see. It's an arms race of charisma.
It really is.
Because if a neutral voice is just reading the stats, 23 shots, 70% possession, you might think Belgium was just a bit unlucky. But that is not the route the major UK networks are taking. There is a generational shift happening at the BBC. For the first time since 1998, Gary Lineker is not leading their World Cup coverage.
Yeah, and replacing a fixture like Lineker completely alters the BBC's tone.
It has to, right?
Exactly. They brought in a new anchoring trio, Kelly Cates, Mark Chapman, and Gabby Logan, and they're joined by Alex Scott.
A solid lineup.
Very solid. And they built a pundit lineup heavy on recent polished tactical experience with names like Alan Shearer, Wayne Rooney, and Olivier Giroud. They are clearly aiming for a very analytical, structured presentation.
But ITV is taking the exact opposite approach.
Oh, completely.
They aren't going for polite analysis, they are throwing haymakers. ITV has Mark Pugach anchoring, and they built a punditry desk specifically engineered to generate fiery, viral emotion.
They want the drama.
They really do. They brought in Gary Neville, Ian Wright, Emma Hayes, and famously Roy Keane.
Of course.
And why take such an aggressive approach? Well, because in an era of fragmented attention spans, ITV knows that visceral negative emotion is one of the only ways to anchor viewers to a traditional linear TV broadcast, meaning the main scheduled channel, rather than just watching an on-demand clip on social media later. Anger retains eyeballs.
It does. And Roy Keane delivered exactly what ITV paid for.
Oh, he went off?
He did. His impact on how this specific Belgium-Iran match will be remembered in the UK is massive. He didn't analyze Belgium's tactical shortcomings. He attacked their character.
Classic Roy Keane.
Right. He completely slammed the team for having absolutely no conviction and for terrible, cowardly decision-making in the final third of the pitch.
And, you know, if Roy Keane is visibly furious at a team on your television screen, you start feeling furious on your couch. The emotion is contagious.
It really is.
And this battle for viewers between the BBC and ITV is going to climax at the World Cup final. Both networks will broadcast the match, but our sources point out a fascinating dilemma. There is a massive Super Bowl-style halftime show planned for the final, featuring Shakira, Madonna, and BTS.
And the dilemma is how to handle the culture clash there.
Right.
The BBC and ITV reportedly might not even show that halftime spectacle on their main linear broadcasts.
It's just crazy to think about.
It is. They are considering pushing the concert to separate digital streaming platforms. It perfectly illustrates how fragmented the viewing experience has become today.
Yeah.
You have traditional football fans who demand 15 minutes of intense tactical analysis from Roy Keane, and then you have pop culture fans who only tuned in to stream BTS.
Exactly.
The broadcasters are realizing that forcing both demographics to watch the same feed just alienates everyone.
That makes total sense. So we've talked extensively about the famous faces in front of the camera, right? The Roy Keanes, the Gabby Logans, the people highlighting the narrative.
Right.
But there is a quiet, deliberate revolution happening behind the cameras in 2026 that is arguably the most important story in global sports media. Let's shift our focus to the upcoming Milano Cortina Winter Olympics. And look at how Olympic Broadcasting Services, or OBS, is fundamentally changing the infrastructure of how we see sports.
Yeah, this is a massive structural overhaul. OBS has finally reached full gender parity among its permanent staff.
That's huge.
It is, and for the first time in history, as of late 2025, 54% of their broadcast commentators are female.
Wow.
But the real revolution isn't just in the commentary booth, it's in the technical pipelines they are building to ensure this isn't just a temporary statistical blip.
Yeah, they launched an initiative called Framing the Future, right?
Yeah.
And that is specifically bringing young female professionals into the field as camera operators. They are quite literally putting the physical lens into different hands.
And it goes much deeper than the physical camera lens, too. OBS also launched a highly specialized internship called Engineering the Future.
Okay, what does that do?
Well, this program places female engineering students, specifically those from telecommunications backgrounds, into the most complex broadcast environments imaginable.
Like what?
We are talking about the back-end systems. AI-assisted video tagging, cloud virtualization, which, by the way, is running the massive processing power required for live sports on remote internet servers rather than relying on fleets of diesel-guzzling broadcast trucks parked outside the stadium.
Oh, that's incredibly smart.
Yeah. And leaders at OBS like Guillermo Jimenez and Virginia Gallego are spearheading this whole pipeline.
See, this is where we need to dig into the mechanics of why this matters so much. Because we often assume that what we see on our screens is just a raw, objective feed of reality.
Right, people just think a camera is a camera.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But let's look at that AI-assisted video tagging. When we talk about female engineers programming AI video taggers, it's not just some corporate diversity metric.
No, not at all.
If an AI is trained predominantly by men, it might be unconsciously programmed to tag aggressive physical tackles or isolated feats of strength as highlights, while completely missing complex spatial passing sequences or different forms of athletic expression. By changing who writes the code, you literally change what the machine defines as a highlight on your screen.
That is a critical insight, because every single broadcast is a collection of thousands of micro decisions.
Yeah.
Think about it. If a female athlete scores a game-winning goal, does the technical director cut to her celebrating with her teammates? Or do they immediately cut to a reaction shot of her male coach on the sideline?
Oh, wow. That happens all the time.
Right. For decades, unconscious biases shape those split-second micro-decisions, framing the narrative in a very specific male-centric way.
And the International Olympic Committee isn't just hoping this changes organically. They're actively reprogramming that bias through their portrayal guidelines.
Yes, the portrayal guidelines. They are explicitly designed to alter the broadcast vocabulary. They actually prevent commentators and directors from attributing female athletes' successes to male figures.
I love that.
Yeah, under these guidelines, you don't frame a woman's gold medal achievement around her husband or her male coach, or ask her how she balanced training with motherhood, if you wouldn't ask a male athlete those exact same questions.
Right. It forces the broadcast infrastructure to focus purely on her athletic merit.
Exactly.
And the infrastructure changes even extend to the schedule itself. They are utilizing a strategic scheduling shift where they alternate the closing events of the games between men and women.
Which is a brilliant move.
It is. If the men closed out a specific alpine discipline in Beijing, the women are guaranteed the primetime closing visibility in Milano Cortina.
Which really proves that visibility isn't just about who is competing. By guaranteeing equal primetime slots, the IOC is engineering a level playing field for viewership. They are recognizing that the infrastructure deciding when and how an athlete is seen is just as important as the performance itself.
Absolutely. Well, we have covered massive ground today.
I really have.
We started with a brutal, scoreless draw on the pitch that functioned as a trauma response to displaced training camps and geopolitical visa wars. We watched British broadcasters wield anger to retain linear TV viewers in a fragmented digital age. And finally, we saw how a new wave of female engineers and directors are literally rewriting the code and the camera angles to reshape the reality of live sports.
You know, the connective tissue through all of this is manipulation in both the negative and positive sense.
Yeah, that's a good word for it.
Global sports are not a self-contained universe. The 90 minutes on the pitch are manipulated by international diplomacy, and your perception of those 90 minutes is manipulated by billion-dollar media strategies and technological algorithms. You just cannot separate the athlete from the machine that broadcasts them.
You really can't. So I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder on your own. The next time you sit down to watch the rest of this 2026 World Cup, or when you tune into the upcoming Winter Games, force yourself to look past the players on the field.
Yeah.
Ask yourself, how much of the tension, the drama, and the anger you are feeling in your living room is happening organically, and how much of it is being carefully manufactured by the specific person writing the AI code, choosing the camera angle, or the pundit telling you exactly how to feel about it.
Right.
Once you realize the highlighter is there, you never read the page the same way again. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning what you see, and we'll catch you next time.